I think a lot of people, everybody sooner or later is affected by cancer. A lot of people think of it as a war with cancer. They see, cancer has been here since prehistoric times.
Yep.
It's been in fossils of prehistoric animals.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And, it's an enemy. People see it as an enemy that takes no quarter, kills indiscriminately, tortures people before it kills them, and infiltrates silently into our lives. So people see this as a war, if you like, between cancer and humans.
Yeah.
But we like to think of it in a more balanced way, that in fact we have the ability to not only provide support for patients and their families, to return patients to a sense of thriving, not surviving, but also help people to harness their own ability to kill cancer. And it is actually quite surprising, but I think empowering for people to realise that there are a number of cancers that appear and are really quite substantial within our bodies, and they then disappear. And this is very well described, that people can have a cancer and without any treatment, their own bodies are able to kill those cancers.
It's like a spontaneous healing.
Spontaneous healing. We call it spontaneous remission. And that occurs for melanoma, a disease mainly in kids called neuroblastoma, kidney cancer, a type of cancer of the uterus called choriocarcinoma, and teratomas. So these 5 types of cancers have been well described to appear and then completely disappear. And this, I think, reflects our own personal power, our own ability to eradicate cancer. And we'd like to help people mobilise that during the course of their lives in preventing, to some degree, disease, but also empowering them during the course of their disease.
Well, I think also it is, you and I spoke about this before the filming. It's also the language we use, because for so many people they hear the cancer word and they go, oh, it's a death sentence. And I think a lot of that has been brought about by the terminology, and I guess it wasn't that long ago for a lot of different forms of cancer, people did die from it. But it's not the case anymore, is it? What's happening out there now?
Well, I think...
the good news.
Yeah, well, I mean, the good news is that the deaths from the disease have decreased substantially, particularly for children's cancers. And we really are winning in this fight against the disease. And I think what's most important to me is we've developed a lot of programs to maintain the health, both spiritual as well as physical health of patients who are affected with this disease. And that, I think, has been another very major transition. It's so important that, in the United States, for example, there are 12 million cancer survivors. There are probably about that number of people who have cancer and don't know it. In China, right now, it's the second commonest cause of death, both in the urban and rural environment. So there are a lot of people in the developed world, and there are a lot of patients also in the developing world who have cancer and don't know it. So what we'd like to do is pay attention to improving the quality of life for people. A lot of people, when they're diagnosed with cancer, even though their disease is in remission, they have this sort of sense of a monkey on their back watching them every day when they wake up, will this disease come back?
Yeah.
And we'd like to open up people's minds to the idea that they can live in a more vigorous way.
And a more positive thought process way, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I actually think I think of part of our responsibilities as cancer doctors, we're in the reconstruction business. When people are diagnosed with cancer, their life is shattered. The reality that they know has changed. But we like to put the pieces back together in a better way. And many of these therapies that we've develop and share with our patients, art therapy, music therapy, poetry therapy, bring people's pieces back together, sometimes in a much stronger way, and their lives are much more fulfilling.